How would you like for your next single or project to not only get you more fans and followers than ever, but actually make you more money than ever? I'm going to share with you my 5-step framework that's going to help you to do exactly that. Step 1 is to get some clarity about your brand. Now, when people hear brand, they think about logos, they think about colors. Like, yeah, all that stuff is part of your brand, but really your brand is the feeling that people get from you. The reason why they go to you and not somebody else is because they want to get a certain feeling. And so it's really important to get clear about this. What kind of feeling do you want to evoke in your listeners, in your fans? What is that thing that they come to you for? So once you get clear about that, that really guides everything else along the way. So just to give you one example of this is think about Drake when he first came out. This was at a time when, really like most of the hip hop, most of the rap was super aggressive. And he came out and he was like singing half the time. He was talking about relationships. He was all up in his feelings, right? And so he kind of carved this lane where if you wanted to get that feeling, if you wanted to get emotional, if you wanted to, think about your relationships or whatever, then he was the guy to go to. And so he created that brand, that identity. And of course, since then, Drake, he's got all kinds of stuff, right? All kinds of different genres. And most artists, like to do all kinds of ranges of different styles. And so it's not that you need to pigeonhole yourself into one style, but as you're creating a name for yourself, it does really help to have something specific that people are going to come to you for and then kind of be able to branch out from there. Step number 2 is to create your content. Now that you know what your brand is, what your identity, what your story is, then you create your content based off of that. When I say content, I'm talking about your music, sure, but also all the other stuff that goes around that, right? And so of course that includes your music, but your music is just one piece of the puzzle that creates the picture that is your brand. Step number 3 is awareness. How do you get exposure? How do you get in front of a wider audience, right? It's something that I hear over and over. And the real trick here is to just figure out, where is that audience already hanging out? Who are they already following? What movies, what TV shows are they already watching? What books are they reading? What Facebook groups and Discords and, where are they hanging out? Once you figure that out, then it becomes really easy. Then it's like, okay, now you just need to insert yourself into those places, whether if it's organically by you going in there and posting content, whether if it's more by buying your way in by, paying for ads, whatever it is, the first step to that awareness is being really clear about where are those potential fans and then just getting in front of them. So here's a couple examples of how you can create awareness. Now, one would be you find another artist who you think their fans might be interested in your music and you collaborate with them. Now, this doesn't have to be some huge artist. It can be somebody who has, let's say, a similar size audience to you, or hopefully maybe a little bit bigger or whatever. But the point is you guys collaborate on a song together and you promote that song to both your audiences and you both benefit from that. Another way to think about this is, let's say you want to take that same concept, but now apply it to an artist who's farther along in their journey than you are. They've got a more established fan base. They've been doing it for longer. One approach that you could take is you could hit them up and pay them for a feature. And then you do a song with them and hopefully some amount of their fans or followers listen to that song and you're able to convert them into fans and followers of yours. Now, another way that you could approach that also is by leveraging paid ads platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And what you do is you have your content, let's just say your music video, and you can actually put in, when you go to your targeting for those ads, that you want to show that music video to people who have already shown an interest in that popular artist. And this can be really effective, and usually it's a lot more cost effective than actually paying for a feature from that artist. Step number 4, after you've created that awareness, is now to take those fans, take those followers, and take them off of whatever platform they're currently on and actually bring them onto your platform. So what do I mean by that? If they're followers on Instagram or YouTube or, subscribers on YouTube or whatever, like that's great. It's a great place to start. But you really don't own that traffic. You don't have a direct relationship with them when you can just reach out to them whenever you want, right? The only way to really do that is if you have somebody's email address or their phone number, because then you're not relying on any specific platform. So how do you do this? There's a number of ways. Usually it's by offering them something for free, some kind of bribe or something to say like, hey, in exchange for your email address, I'll give you this thing, right? One great version of this that works really well for artists is when you have a new release coming out, let people know, hey, you can get early access to this new release. Go ahead and click this link. It'll automatically put it in your Spotify. And at the same time, it'll collect their email address. Now, there's different services that do this. DistroKid happens to be one of them that works really well. And what's cool about that is it's collecting their email address at the same time, and now you can actually develop that relationship with them off of a social media platform. You've now got that one-to-one relationship. So that brings us to step number 5. Now, step number 5 is where you actually get paid from your music. And sounds good, right? But here's the problem is most artists, they try to either skip to that step or they just don't do the work first. But when you've done step 1, 2, 3, and 4, like we've talked about, you have this solid foundation. So now this isn't that hard. Okay, so here's how this works. So in step number 1, you created your brand, your story, so that people can connect with you emotionally. Step number 2, you've got your music and other content, which reinforces that so people know that, hey, you are the person to go to in order to get that feeling. Step number 3, we've now amplified that by creating awareness, so now more and more people know about you. And step number 4, you've gotten them on your list so you can have a one-to-one conversation with them and start really developing that relationship. And that all leads up to step number 5, which is where you're going to leverage that relationship that you've created in order to now sell them products and services and experiences. So notice I didn't say this is where you sell them your music, right? Because here's the thing. To me, having your business model be relying on streaming income is not a good thing. That means you're relying on fractions of pennies coming in, right? So instead, I'd rather take everything we've done so far and leverage that into actually selling them products and services and experiences that are going to be really valuable to them. And that can mean a number of things, right? It can mean merchandise, but I don't just mean slap your logo on a t-shirt or whatever. Instead, we've already built this foundation, right? People are coming to you because they want to feel a certain feeling. They want to be a part of that tribe. So now when you create that merchandise, now they put that t-shirt on and they feel that feeling. They feel like they're a part of that thing, right? It has so much more meaning. Another example of this is experiences. Now, most people think of like a concert, right? It's cool. Concerts are great. But how can you take that to the next level? How can you really amplify that and have your best fans have an incredible experience? Now, this could be a virtual event. It could be a virtual, concert. Maybe it's something in person. But either way, what can you do to take that to the next level where they get more, let's say, personal interaction with you or more of an experience that's beyond just the, conventional, let's say, concert? Now, one really good example of this is Ryan Leslie. This dude's a genius in a lot of ways. But one thing that he has done is create these different types of experiences. And there was one that I heard about that he did. I think it was like a New Year's Eve party where he rented out this giant mansion. I want to say it was in like Europe or somewhere. I don't know, something crazy. It was like a huge mansion. He did a show, but it's like for, only, I want to say like 100 people, like a small group of people. There was like incredible food, right? It was this amazing experience and it was not cheap. I forget the price, but it was something like $10,000 each, right? Something ridiculous where like, yes, 99% of his fans are not going to do that, but that 1% are going to do that and they're going to remember it for the rest of their lives. And he made some really good money in that, right? So obviously that's like an extreme example, but taking that concept of how can you create a premium experience for your best fans who will pay for it, that's the idea that I'm talking about here.